Hey everyone, welcome to another video review. This is the Transformers Masterpiece MP-41 Beast Wars Dinobot. Yeah, the big expensive guy who's come out and kind of anticipated, also kind of feared because again of prices and whatnot. But yeah, you can see he is his, here Raptor mode on a stand and everything, which I'll get into that in a little bit. First, of course, got to talk about the box real quick. And it's a Beast Wars Masterpiece box, so rather than the black, it's got the Beast eye and everything. You got the nice shots of the figure, long life design, 20th anniversary Beast Wars, even though it's now been 22 years. But you got the logos up here on top. You got a bunch of, warnings and stuff, but I can't read them. You got Velociraptor mode there, holding disc. You got him shooting his eye lasers. And you got a whole bunch of shots and stuff of him, including CG stuff, just to compare, so you can compare and everything. And more stuff I can't read, and what's in the box along with the figure itself. So pretty basic stuff there. In the box, he also comes with a trading card, including the specs and whatnot, and bio, and pictures. Nice artwork there, and pictures of the actual toy there. Mine had two. I don't know why. I'm not sure if it's supposed to come with two or it was a packaging error. I have two. If anyone wants one of these, let me know. He also comes with his instructions, which are actually quite large and actually fairly easy to understand. There's a couple weird points here and there, but it's actually fairly easy to understand these instructions because they're nice and big. And also there's this little thing about how to do one of the steps because it's not super clear, and how to do it because it's a little less than great. I'll just say that regarding one of the steps, particularly with the tail. But he's it's Dinobot. It's the big old ex-Predacon himself, Dinobot, and you can see he's on this big old stand. And everything is like very gunmetal gray stand and everything. Very big, and you can see it's also got little things there so it can connect to other pieces like this. I suspect they're going to start releasing these either constantly with these figures or as standalones as well. Yeah, it's a big stand, and I'm using it because, quite frankly, he, in his Dino mode here, is a little forward heavy, so he likes to tilt forward real easily. But he does look really nice, and that's one of his first issues, is just simply he likes to tilt forward, and that's probably why they included the stand. He's not exactly the most stable robot, unfortunately. Yeah, so it's one of the biggest problems of this figure is simply it has a tendency to fall over very easily. So it's a good thing they include the stand, but I also wish they just did the thing of make him more stable. If you can get him off this, you can also see. Okay, I'm going to see if I'm going to get him to stand up over here because you have to kind of lean him back a bit. Yeah. But you see that he's slowly tilting forward. Yeah, he just falls over. That's the problem, is his ankles down here are kind of weak. You can, though, if you lean him back enough, you should be able to find a center. So right now he's standing somewhat, but I'm not sure how stable that is. We'll see if he falls over. But yeah, this stand is actually adjustable, and it's actually multiple pieces. You can see because it's got these teeth. You got this thing, and it basically plug it in, adjusts where the stand is. And you can adjust this for what you need and whatnot. I believe you can also separate these pieces if you want to. Yeah, you can separate these pieces back out. I wasn't sure because some of these stuff is like you put it together and it's not intended to be taken apart again. But this one can be taken apart. I also have to put these two pieces together a specific way because the holes for this centerpiece right here are the pegs and holes for it. Yeah, I'm not going to bother taking it apart. But yeah, I think you can take it apart. You can see that these parts right here are the holes for the centerpiece, those parts. It's also got them right here too. So I guess you can also flip them the other way, but yeah. Try to match them up. I mean, they don't really match up at all, but I try to match them as best I could. Yeah, this is a stand. It's adjustable, so it can be used for both modes. I'm going to put that off to the side for now. You also see he has this clear piece. That's what the stand actually connects into because to help the sculpt. And it's actually kind of ingenious because all you have to do is unplug his belly, and there's a little thing right here. Yeah, this little piece right here is solely for so the dinosaur can connect to the stand. Yeah, the dinosaur himself, again, you know, he's pretty accurate to the show. I mean, he's, you know, the different shades of brown and whatnot on here. He's got the silvery eyes. They're actually silver irises, rather, or not irises, but silver versus just white like they were in the show. Only thing you can see, yeah, there's a bunch of robot stuff hanging out back here. You can see that. It's always been kind of the flaw with the Beast Wars Masterpiece. You can see the robot mode stuff just kind of hanging out. You can see a bit of gold here too. But for the most part, it's actually pretty solidly put together Beast mode. And it's also very large Beast mode. Yeah, it's again, the problem is he's just very forward heavy. So if you don't get that perfect center of balance, he will tip over very easily. But he's pretty nice though. He's pretty nice looking. He's very show accurate. He's got a nice rigidity. Everything. He's got this really nice rigid texture, and you can see that the scales. You can see those scales. That's all rigid detailing. That is not like paint or anything. That's all rigid detailing. Plus, just the striping right here is also really nicely done. It's just a really nicely done finish. He also actually does have a degree of posability in this mode, as well as arms can they're on little joints here, so it can move outward. It can move up and down right there. A little swivel here. Got an elbow. Got a little wrist thing. Wrist right there. It's actually multi-jointed wrist, so it's got a lot of posability there. It's also, yeah, you can't swivel, but yeah, it's also, these are very sharp. Be careful with that. His head can actually swivel and look up and down. And multiple joints. There's like 2 joints here, so his head can look up and down, so side to side. His mouth can open quite wide, actually. He also has his tongue, which you can adjust. And also, while you're up here, you can also change the eyes. Got opening that up, and you can spin that around and give him his squinting eyes. Give those. Let's see if I can. Yeah, those squinting eyes of his. You can do that. Make sure to swivel it around the right way so the eyes. Otherwise, you'll have the eyes facing the wrong way. But yeah, 2 different eye sets for that. Back down a bit. His tail can actually can move side to side right here at this joint. It can move up right here and up, and multiple joints there. You can see that multiple joints, and you can also move down like that if you want. But yeah, so there are multiple jointings there. I guess there's kind of a joint here, but it's not really intended for this mode, so I wouldn't use it. It kind of breaks the sculpt really bad. The legs, these hips out here don't really move much because of how they're pegged in, so you don't really move the up here. They don't really move, not even forward and back. But you got this. That's there. You got a knee, but that often kind of starts to de-transform a bit. You got foot, forward, back, ankle, and side to side as well. It's kind of just, although it does weird stuff if you move it too far. You also have outward. You have a bit of outward, not a whole lot, but a little bit. He also says individual claw articulation, mostly down. Again, though, this one in particular, this big one is really sharp. I actually jabbed myself under my fingernail pretty good when I first got this guy. So be careful with that. But you can actually get some decent poses out of this Raptor mode. Not as much as I'd like. I wish there was more articulation right here in the hip. But it's still pretty solid. And again, he's also very large. This is a point of comparison. I'm going to try to get them all in here. Hopefully I can. And hopefully he'll stay standing. There we go. Yeah, let's stay standing right now. Here's a Cheetor. You can see, yeah. You can see just how large he is. And Primal, actually. You can see just how large he is comparatively. He's a very large figure because he was very large in the show. I think the only other figure on the Maximal side who can compare with him was Rhinox. Well, at least initially until you get to later seasons. But that's not relevant right now. So I'm still scared of what Rhinox will cost me. Yeah, it's actually, you know, it's a pretty nice Raptor. He also has a couple, an accessory in this, the golden disc. Nice little golden disc, you know, record on the side, Sound of Earth. The engravings on the other side. I wish this was kind of a shinier plastic, but it looks all right for what it is. There he goes. He can actually hold it, because if you notice on his hands, he has a little peg hole. What you do, there's this little tiny clear piece. See that? You can see that, yeah, it's this little tiny clear piece. It actually clips onto the record, the golden disc, and then there's multiple pegs, and they are 4, and so he can hold it. He can hold the disc in his hand in some way. Oop. Yeah, and that's the other thing, is sometimes the clip doesn't clip super well. Other times it's really clips in super. Yeah, you can kind of hold the disc in his hand like that. So it's kind of neat that they have that, and it's the same piece, so you can actually hold it in robot mode as well with the different peg. And again, he doesn't want to stand. That's the biggest problem with this guy so far. Well, there's one other problem that people have been having, but I'll get to that in a bit. That's one of the biggest problems, is simply he does not like to stand. And also the disc also comes with this also lone stand, which can unfold like that, and then there, like that. So it can be displayed like that, which is pretty neat. Anyway, on to the transformation. Now, his transformation is actually not that complicated, all things considered. I was actually surprised at how genuinely kind of easy it is at times. But first thing you want to do is actually, up back here, you want to untab these bits and a little bit, and also fold these down. These panels right here, you fold them down like that. Probably should actually do that first, because I noticed that popped that up. Yeah, pop these up, and then move this whole panel up, and then you remove the tail. Tail is pegged in back here on this hole, and it's tabbed in up here at the same time. See that? So you kind of, when you're going back, you want to peg it in and then kind of slide it up, in that tab up into the slot there, so that it helps a lot. And just put this tail off to the side. We'll get back to that later. You put this up like this, and take these pieces and move them fully forward like that. You notice stuff about Dinobot. Then you take this back piece right here and flip it up like this. You'll want to open up the dinosaur head like that. Fold this piece back in here like this, and then close it back up. Leaves a hole right there, and turn the head around. You're getting ready for that next bit, which is you also want to unpeg this bottom piece right here like that. And then get your finger under here and open up the chest right here. Just get that opened up. And from there, you also come under here, and there's the legs are actually tabbed in. It's hard to see from any real angle, but yeah, it's legs are tabbed in right there where my finger's pointing. And you want to untab them from the rest of it, like that. It actually might be a good idea to go ahead and rest your finger somewhere so it's comes undone a little easier. Yeah, that's pretty much unpegs this whole assembly right here, including the head. From there, you want to make sure these pieces are out of the way, because you're going to start flipping all this stuff up. So make sure to curl these up like that. And then as this all folds up, this dinosaur head, you make sure it's folded all the way in. The nose is going to go into this divot here. Make sure that. Pull that up and around, like so. Again, make sure these are all out of the way. So you see this already kind of curling around. Now this belly piece this piece that was a belly in the dinosaur mode, you want to fold it down like this. There's multiple hinges here. You want to fold it out so these eyes are forward, and then collapse these hinges so that it folds up like this. The hinge should look like that. See that? Yeah, fold that all up, and then bring it all down, and there's tabs here, which will go in these slots here. Now, don't worry if things aren't so super lined up right now. They will be lined up in the future. Also, we want to fold this up. There's a good chance it's unfolded while you're doing all this. Fold that up like that. And move these out of the way. Move these back this way so they're kind of out of the way again. Now down here, the legs, you want to split them apart. The feet are what's tabbing them together. Split them apart and go ahead and straighten them out. And turn them around at the waist, like so. Now the feet. You want to open this up and move the feet down, around. This is actually the front of the ankle right here. This where the gold bit is. That's the front. So you want to also, what you want to do when you start moving this stuff, you also move this gold piece right here. You move it up, and then untab all this. Untab it from the back of the leg here, and start moving up here till it clicks into place, and then rotate this forward so that all lines up. Then back here, there's a hole here for this peg. Hole here for that peg. Put that in like that. Then rotate the foot around so it's facing forward. And down here, you just open up the heel and take this gold piece right here and move it up so that these pieces are lined up. And then you collapse the leg. Here at the knee, you collapse the leg up like that. And then you rotate it around right there. That's one leg more or less done. Now for the other leg, all the same stuff. Open that up. Move this gold piece. Move this forward. Click into place. Rotate the ankle forward. Lock it in back here. Rotate the foot around. Open the heel up. This one you also want to move the tab. There's the tab here for the dyno mode. You want to move that up so it's like that. Move that up like this. Collapse the knee in and rotate it around above the knee. And that's the legs more or less done. Right there. And the legs are now more or less done. Got one click for it there. Now, upper torso. I'm going to move the camera up. Refocus. This is where some people have problems, is the stuff up here at the upper torso. First thing, right here, you want to rotate this whole assembly right at this hinge. You want to rotate it around like this so the dyno legs are facing up. And again, don't worry if this stuff isn't 100% lined up, because it will line up as you get stuff done. So now that the arms are facing up, you want to pull this out and rotate out like that. Rotate out like that. This is the most complicated bit. This is the part where the instructions I got a little lost on. From there, let's see if I can get a good angle. There's multiple hinges in this assembly right here. You want to collapse at the first hinge. Right here, at this point, you want to collapse at that hinge. Then at this hinge, right there, this is hard. Problem is, this is hard. I don't have trying to get good light in there. That's the problem. And make sure you can still see it. Yeah, that hinge right here, you move that up at that hinge. And at this hinge, you also are rotating down. I'll talk more about the hinge in a little bit. But you rotate that in, and then this piece right here kind of goes in, slots in front of the dinosaur head. And you have to watch out for tabs and stuff. When you do it all correctly, it should all line up here. So this hinge is right there, like that. The hinge should be all even with all that stuff. You have to do that all again on this side too. So collapse. Again. Collapse and rotate these hinges such a way you're basically accordioning it. Getting it all lined up can be a little tricky the first few times, but once you've done it a couple times, it's actually pretty easy. And that's all pretty much collapsed in right there. I'm going to move this light back out of the way. From here, make sure the head's down and rotate it forward. That. And take these pieces. This is getting this stuff kind of up back here is a little lined up, is a little on the tricky side, but not horrible. So what you want to do is you want to start moving these pieces forward and also collapse the Velociraptor hands up. They're going to kind of move into this space back here. As you move this forward, you want to adjust them so that they're kind of collapsing into that space. You see, like that? They're going to be kind of hiding out like this. And then you have to also tab this in. There's a slot here for this tab right there. And while you're doing this, stuff might come a little undone. Well, don't worry, you can get it all back together again. You know, again, you might have to adjust this stuff because, again, it's a little finicky about this. It doesn't like to always line up, especially when you got a camera between you and the figure. Yeah. And then do the same on this side. Collapsing this up. So that it's nice and snug in the backpack, and then tabbing it here. Yeah, these last few steps are probably the most difficult of the whole figure, just because you got to get stuff past other stuff. And again, you got to move these. They're just right. If they're not just right, it doesn't come together. There. More or less that. Yeah. Yeah. Oop. There we go. Yeah, it's more or less collapsed in. And then you got to do the arms. Last bit. So from here, you want to make sure this bit, there's this hole right here. You want to make sure that's rotated such a way that goes down like so. Make sure these shoulder pads are correct. Then you want to rotate this part forward, and then take these claws, curl them all up like that. Open this flap up, open that out like that. Split this in half. Well, sort of pull this bottom half. You want to pull it away from the upper half. Tabbed in pretty good there. So you pull it away, rotate this whole thing. Make sure that's down. Rotate this around, collapse it back up. Move this up into the arm, in this piece, and close it up like that. And then rotate this around so that the 3 larger fingers are on the outside and the 2 little fingers on the inside. And then repeat on the other side. Repeat. Make sure these shoulder pads are up too. And rotate. Rotate that around. Collapse it back in, and then move this back up into the arm there. Close that up. Rotate the hand around so the 3 big fingers are on the outside. Will not make adjustments. You probably need to make several adjustments because of nonsense. While we're doing this. And you should have Dinobot in his robot mode. Problem is just trying to... Again, it's the same problem with dinosaur mode, which is balance is kind of an issue here. Getting in balance is hard as heck. Because the problem is here is, again, ankles are kind of weak. Once you do that, it's a pretty good and tall robot mode, like it's supposed to be. And it kind of does that thing where it manages to take what the show did to cheat super hard with his transformation and make it work. Because yeah, I remember the show cheated super hard with his transformation. I mean, season 1 they cheated a lot, but with him in particular, they cheated. The other thing though is his tail. His tail here. What you want to do is straighten that all out. Start splitting it. Multiple tabs and pegs here. Split it in half like this. You can see this sword thing. We'll take that out for now. And this turns into a shield, like a spill spinning shield. What you want to do is this was that little extra piece of paper with the instruction paper that this was for. This part, what you want to do, you can see that right there. What you want to do is grab it right here and start wiggling it like back and forth like this while you're pulling on it. See, it's separating out. And that lets you move this piece around. And there's a tab on this side which goes in a slot here. And that'll let you move it around and, well, tab it in and whatnot. And you do the same on this side. You can start pulling and wiggling back and forth. And then move it around. This one's got a peg and a tab. And then, boom. There's his spinning shield. And to make it actually spin, what you want to do is open this up. There's a little thing right here. You can move that out of the way. And now it can spin. If I can get a good grip. There we go. Yep, spins. Also this hinge right here. But that's for other stuff. Yeah, it's yeah, you can spin right there. And you also take the sword, open it up, and open that up, and boom! Now he's got a sword. Weird thing is, it's this pinkish chrome. No one's quite sure why. It's this weird pinkish chrome, and it's like, I guess apparently the show had a little bit of a pinkish tint, but yeah, this is really, really weirdly pink. And like, I don't hate it, but like I can understand why people are upset about it because it's supposed to be more of a chromed look, and now it's got this thing. But it's got a peg right here where my thumb's pointing, and there's a peg hole right there in his hand. So that's how he holds it. And boom, wrapped around the little fans like that, little fingers, and then big fingers, and boom, it's holding a sword. Which, yes, it can spin. It absolutely spins. It's a very tight. It has a lot of friction, but it does spin. Is that? And of course, on the other hand, if you want, you can open these fingers up, and there's a peg here. On this, you can see that peg, and it goes right there. Close his hands up around it, and now he's holding his spinning shield thing. Go like that, and of course you can unlock the spinning part. If I can, yeah, just once again unlock the spinning part. And I believe actually maybe it is motorized. Yeah, it's motorized, so you can do that way. Just push on that button. Only problem is that this peg's kind of shallow, so it's really easy for him to lose grip of it. Yeah, you can do that. And my other problem is these pieces right here, they don't like lock in, so it's easy when you're accidentally trying to mess with the feet, you accidentally just collapse that down. So pay attention when you're doing that. I don't think there's a locking point. I never found a locking point. I thought there might have been one that I missed, but nah, I can find one. But yeah, you got a shield thing. You can take the sword out of this hand. Yeah, the sword actually, because the peg is nice, good sized peg, so it's goes in pretty good. He grips it really well. You take the sword and actually you collapse the handle back up, and then right here you just peg it into the shield thing, and now he's got his weird sword shield thingamabob. So you can do that. Yeah. The only problem is it's really difficult to maneuver in such a way that you can hold this. Yeah, you can trying to keep your fingers free. kind of neat though. Catches the light real good too. The other thing is, if you don't want him holding, you want to store the shield away, you just close it up like that. Close it up, and then close this part up. Make sure to line that up and close it up. And what you do is you open this up right here. You open that up. You open this little thing on his backpack. There's 2 hooks here. Take those hooks and they go into these slots right here. Make sure to do it tight. It's easy to accidentally think you got it all the way and it's not. Make sure it's a nice tight connection. So make sure you got it all the way on. Yeah. Mine's, I don't know what it is, but it's just popping back out now. Wasn't doing this before. But yeah, now that now I'm doing it on camera, of course, now it's popping out constantly, figures. It doesn't want to actually stay in there. I wasn't having this problem before. That's so weird. And there we go. Okay. But yeah, I don't know why I'm having trouble now. I had no problems with it before, but now I'm doing it on camera. Yeah, but you need to make sure it's on there nice and tight, or else it'll just pop off. But for whatever reason, mine's not doing it right now. I'll have to figure that out later. Something might have happened. Yeah. Go ahead and put that stuff up to the side though, because got a couple other things to mention. Got this other clear piece. See that? That actually plugs onto the backside here into the screw holes and whatnot. Actually, that's a fairly large Thomas stage port as well if you want to use that. But this plugs into all those holes back there, and then there's, hey, look, there's a hole for the stand. The stand is back. Just plug it in, and if you want this again, this is because, quite frankly, he's very, very unstable for whatever reason. For whatever dumb reason, he's incredibly unstable. He's also got electronics. He's got little lights in his eyes. There's a little button right here. Press that button right there where I'm pointing. Press the button and his eyes should light up. And of course, the batteries just died. I'm pretty sure you saw that flicker, but yeah, the batteries just died. That's one of the other problems people are having, is the batteries are dying real fast on this guy. Yeah, they're working just fine, and of course, I was afraid of this. The batteries just died. So, one moment. All right, we decided to go ahead and actually do this bit on camera real quick. So, on his head here, you can see that there's a screw. Phillips screw. It's real easy, just unscrew it. There. Screw that. 2 batteries. See, they are LR44s. The problem is, at this point, getting them out. But anyway, yeah, again, LR44s, make sure they are pointing the correct direction. There's actually these little symbols right here. The little symbols right there to show you which direction the battery should be facing. But yeah, just in case you don't know, this part right here should be facing down, the part without the writing. Just slot those in. Do a quick test. Yep, they work. That's the thing. That's what I've seen. A common complaint about these guys is, yeah, Dinobot here is just simply his battery. He eats through batteries real quick. I'm not sure what's going on. I'm not sure if it's like a bunch of us just have a bunch of really old batteries, and thus they don't have a lot of charge, and it seems like he's eating through battery, or somehow he's just, well, eating through them. But yeah, it's a really relatively simple in concept swap. The biggest problem you'll run across is simply the batteries don't want to come out. There we go. Yeah, you can see, finally, eyes light up. And you can see that. Light up red. Which also goes well with his feature, which you can pull off the face here. Which you can see, yeah, just LEDs. Because he's got no ability to stand up. And 3 faces, or 3 alternate faces. Let's see if I can get these all on camera in one shot. Alright. You got a weird, they call it like, I think they call it a disgusted face or something. Yeah, I'm just going to let Dinobot lie there. It's just easier that way. He's got this weird face, is kind of like a surprised, disgusted face. He's got this face, which is this like grinning face. This smirk face. And he's got this face right here, which doesn't have red paint on his eyes. You can see that if you see my finger through that. And his eyes are also extra wide. And that's because it goes with this other accessory right here, which simulate his laser blasts. And you can put those in the eyes. And you put that. Oh, he really split apart when he hit the ground that time. There you go. I think, yeah. There we go. Okay. Put that on. Did that all off camera. Wasn't paying attention. Yeah, just, put that on. Like so. Slots on, no problem. Yeah, you see that they're red. That's not right. They're green in the show. What you do is you hold the button down and they'll turn green. Again, we can see that. You kind of see the green. Yeah, you see that. You can kind of see the green there. The red. Hold it down long enough. And they're green. That's just over his laser eyes. So you got that, which is kind of neat. But yeah. Where's this normal face? There it is. At least I was thinking it was a normal face. Yeah. But anyway, articulation, finally. Yes, for articulation. After all that. His head is actually on a series of joints here. It's got I think that's a ball joint. Yeah, it's a ball joint. So it can do this. The only thing is also on this weird platform stock thing, which is for the transformation. But because you kind of get a little waggle, but lifts the head up. You got left and right, up and down. His mouth can actually open. Every single one of the mouths can open. They can open and close. See? Like that. His arms. Ratchet forward and back. Ratchet outwork on this joint. There is also this hinge. And that's one of the ones that people are talking about. Those hinges are right now notorious for breaking. I have not had a problem with mine. They are not broken yet. I did put a little bit of shock oil in mine. On both of mine. I was not having problems, except for mine were really stiff transforming it, so I decided to go ahead and do it just to make it easier. But I personally did not have any breakages. I didn't have any signs of breakages, but that is a joint possibly for articulation. But I'm starting to suspect that was not intended for articulation. I'm starting to suspect that was only for transformation because that really breaks up the sculpt and it looks kind of goofy like this. And there's this joint right there which works just fine. So I'm not sure if this is for articulation or not. I suspect not, but anyway, if you are having problems, like so if you get this figure and one of these joints, like this joint right here, does not want to move, don't force it. It seems to move just fine during transformation, at least on mine, but once you get to this point where it's locked in, it doesn't seem to want to move unless you grease it or add shock oil like I did. Now it's, nice and fine. It holds and everything. But just a word of warning. Those hinges are notorious for breaking. If you put in robot mode and resist, don't force it. That joint, again, I'm not sure that's supposed to be articulation joint because of how much it looks like it's broken. What, you know, it looks like it's a broken arm when you do that. Been trying to find if there's any official poses with him doing that, and there kind of is. So yeah, I guess there is kind of. It might be I guess it is kind of an articulation joint, but again, you're not missing much if you don't use it. But if you do use it, if you want to use, just use some chalk oil, because you don't want to break your $200+ figure, do you? Anyway, there's a bicep swivel right here. There is an elbow hinge right there. Although the thing is, you're kind of doing that, but it's easy enough to make sure that doesn't happen. Nothing much else happens there. You got a wrist swivel right there. There's a joint right there, a nice clicky joint for wrist stuff, so you can do cool sword poses if you want. These fingers are all individually articulated, I think. Yes, I believe so. Wait, no, these I believe are one piece. No, these are one piece, but these fingers are all individually articulated. And they also have a second hinge right there. So you can do some crazy stuff with his fingers. And of course, they can open right there. And this one, there's a hinge right there as well. Yeah, these are one piece, but these are all individually articulated. He does have a waist swivel. I'm going to remove this real quick. The stand piece. He has a waist swivel. He also has, this is something a lot of people don't realize, an ab crunch. A pretty crazy ab crunch, because it kind of separates. Yeah, he has an ab crunch, a pretty deep one. So he does have that, if you don't know. A lot of people don't realize that's there. He has hips, which... Outward problem is sculpting. Yeah. I mean, if you do that, you got outward quite a bit more if you move it a bit more, but straight on, yeah, sculpting gets in the way. You have a swivel above the knee. Really tight knee ratchet, which, yeah, you get a pretty good bend, but mine's, yeah, it's just really tight. And you got ankle tilts. Quite a bit ankle tilt. Just friction. And you got side to side and forward and back as well. Yeah, so that's the articulation. It's pretty posable. Just the weird thing of this limitation here and that hinge. Those hinges can be problematic for people, so just be careful. Shock oil. Or I think it was dish soap. Yeah, people are saying dish soap as well works. I use shock oil personally. Yeah, the biggest, of course, the other big problem is simply because these are friction. He has a tendency to just, and kind of loose. I might try to tighten those up with some floor polish, but he has a tendency to just kind of, and he's very top heavy, so he has a tendency to just fall over. I believe there is some die cast. Like, I think this is die cast. There's a little bit of die cast here and there, but it's not a lot. The other thing is trying to find his neutral position with these ratchets is kind of weird. Like, I believe this is supposed to be it. Yeah. The neutral position for the hips. But, yeah, real quick, of course, gonna compare him with his other two Beast Wars brethren, his teammates, comrades. You can see, yeah, there's kind of height difference there. He's big. He's a big guy. He was the biggest guy in the team, one of the biggest guys in the team, or tallest anyway. Rhinox the only one who could really compete with him on the maximal side, at least initially. Depth Charge, I believe, came in and changed that up. Yeah, he's a pretty big guy. He goes well with him. He's pretty much more or less in scale from what I remember of the show. And just because this seems to be the de facto measuring stick for all Masterpiece, MP-10. Which, yeah, he's almost as tall as MP-10. Almost. Not quite, but almost as tall. So he's pretty good size. And the thing is, Beast Wars Megatron's going to be even bigger than him. He's going to be like, I think if I recall, Beast Wars Megatron might actually be taller than this guy. I can't remember for sure, but I know he's taller than him. So, yeah, he's pretty big. So here's the deal. And I almost forgot about this. Apparently some people have been reporting paint chipping, like paint damage. I have a little minor thing. Like, I have a little tiny scratch right here on the face. Some people have actually been suggesting when you transform into dinosaur mode, just remove the face plates. Because it's basically the scratching is on these little side vent things, mostly. So people are saying remove the face plates to prevent that. I'm hearing chipping mostly on the hips. I'm not getting any really too bad. I'm not really seeing any super... People are talking about it. I've transformed this guy, I think, 5 or 6 times full cycles now, and I'm not seeing any real damage. It's very minor to the point of like I'd have to go get a microscope, or not microscope, but a magnifying glass and look at it. But I'm not really seeing any major paint damage on mine yet. Or if there is, I'm not. Yeah, if there is, it's so small, I'm not even noticing it. Well, there is right here. I'm just noticing this now, right here on all these ridges, these gold ridges. You can see some of the blue peeking through. There is some overspray problems, namely, so you see some of the blue peeks through. This blue peeks through into the dinosaur mode, but for the most part, I'm not having any major paint issues. I'm personally not. I know other people, not just discount other people's problems, but I'm just personally not having any. Maybe it comes how you handle it or whatever, it's the order you transform it in. I'm not sure. But anyway, way, I actually do genuinely enjoy this guy. I mean, I was a big Beast Wars fan growing up. That's why I'm super into this, the Beast Wars masterpiece. He looks great. He does have his flaws, though, and that, again, the big ones are shoulders. For some people, paint damage, the shoulder joints breaking, paint damage for some people. Both modes, he's a little unstable. And the big one, which is price. He is over $200 if you did not get a discount for pre-ordering. Yeah, he's expensive. And I see where some of the expense went. I mean, he's got a fairly complicated engineering. The electronics, the size, the accessories, mostly I think the stand, but yeah, I think that's the weird thing is he's kind of spendy. I mean, he'll probably might go on discount eventually. It might start popping up discounts, but or not, but he's a hard sell at over I think it was $220 or something with shipping and or I'm not including shipping. I don't think. Yeah, I think most places that does not include shipping. But yeah, it's he's not cheap. No matter how you look at it, he's simply not cheap. And that is a hard obstacle to get over. Because I ordered from Amazon Japan, I got him for less than $200. Yeah, I think it got him for shipped total with shipping, it was $190 for me, something around there. But if you miss that boat for pre-orders, there's a good chance, unless he's going on sale frequently or something, he's going to be costing you over $200. And that's a hard sell, period. Is he worth over $200? That's the problem. Is I know for a lot of people, the biggest things is all those problems I was listing off, like those hinges specifically, are really scaring people off the figure. I don't blame them. I mean, when you hear people's figures are breaking and this is a $200 figure, you don't want to risk it, It's kind of hard to, you don't want to risk it if you're going to get a $200 figure and just, try to move the arm and snap. I mean, here's the thing. When the thing is, some people are kind of overblowing it. If this does break, everything still works. The just thing is, this is kind of more becomes a friction hinge, and believe it or not, there's enough friction there, it's a little floppy, but it will still work. The transformation will still work and everything. You might be able to find a way to turn into a friction joint if it breaks, but you can prevent it from breaking just by using some shock oil or dish soap, I believe was the other one. But it is a thing, and that's the problem. I cannot in good conscience say it's absolutely worth it. It's really hard to say. I don't regret it. I like it a lot, and I'm not having any real major issues personally. The other thing I forgot was the battery life. But then again, it's electronic, which there's a good chance I'll actually pull those batteries out anyway, because it's just one of those things. That's the part of it. I feel that if they just didn't bother with electronics, it might have been a little cheaper because they wouldn't have all the electronics. It'd be just cheaper in general. But because of the premium paint and size and engineering, he's still going to be expensive. And, well, Beast Wars Megatron is looking to be, he's going to be over $300 unless you pre-order at, like, Amazon or whatever. But yeah, he's going to be even more expensive, and that's, people are freaking out about how Masterpiece figures are now starting to become expensive. It's like, well, again, these are the weird ones. We're getting the big, expensive ones. The stuff like the upcoming Hound is probably going to be weighed back down to like $120 or whatever. But, yeah, these big guys, these are going to be expensive, and that's just kind of a reality we have to face. Especially now that they're really starting to really go for competing with, like, other collector-oriented lines like Soul Chogokin and whatnot. They're really starting to compete with those guys now. They're really trying to, or Takara is. So they're just, I think these guys are just going to be expensive regardless now. Or at least more expensive than the ones we remember from yesteryear. Because remember, like, we could get, what was it, the MP-10 for like less than, about $200. And that was a full guy with trailer and everything. And then now we're going to start seeing these really expensive, big expensive ones, and it's just going to suck. So that's kind of the thing, really, is I can't say it's absolutely worth it at $200. If you can get it, if you really love Dinobot or Beast Wars, I would still probably pick it up. You probably already have picked it up, but if you're on the fence because of that price, I cannot say it's absolutely worth it. We're at that point. It's really hard to swallow. The only reason I got it is because I was able to get it for less than $200. I got Megatron on pre-order just because I'm getting him for just over $200 total now. But yeah, it's going to be difficult to swing that for some people, and I get it. I really get it that like it's going to be hard for some people to justify. It was hard for me to justify for a bit, but I managed. I like it. I do not regret it, but if that price really is that a big obstacle for you, then I don't know if it's really worth it, especially considering all the little problems. Those little problems might just add up for enough people, just enough so that they're just like, no, I'm not going to do it. And I get that. I totally do. So, yeah, that's my problem is I can't really come to a decisive conclusion. I think I don't regret it, but I can understand why people, over $200, it's kind of one of those, if you're okay with fixing those little problems, if you're okay, particularly the shoulders, if you're okay with having to fix that yourself, and you got the means, and you really like the character and the show, go for it. But otherwise, you might consider skipping this guy. And I hate to say that, but yeah, because it's a fantastic figure. It's just, he's expensive. And I think he's always going to be expensive. He's a popular enough character. I don't think he's going to... Because, yeah, like Primals had to be reissued. Cheetor is sold out. It would not surprise me if he's going to be hard to find if you don't pick him up. But at the same time, at over $200, it's going to be hard to justify picking him up. So you're going to just have to, look at it and decide for yourself from that. I can't really say whether or not it's worth it for you. And it's going to, because we're at that price, I cannot definitively say one way or the other. So, yeah, it's probably going to be the same problem with Megatron when he comes out. So, yeah, I think that's enough of my rambling about it. Just, if you look at it and you decide, yeah, he's worth it, go for it. If you decide he's not, probably should consider skipping. But I hope you enjoyed this review. Hope you found it informative. And I hope to see you next time for another one. So until then, bye. By the way, yes, he can hold the golden disc.